Well, hi everybody again, and welcome to the show. I'm Craig Hamilton Parker, your host. I'm a psychic medium. So, on this show, we talk about all the things that are going to happen in the world, give some clairvoyant insights into things, share a few philosophical ideas, and so forth. But in particular, this today is quite an important one, actually, because I want to talk about a prophecy that was made in my book, Messages from the Universe, some years ago, back in 2015. And there's been some flagged warnings for this coming out of India, saying that this prophecy is about to happen. And it's quite a serious prophecy because it involves a giant gas cloud. And it also involves a potential war between China and America, with Russia involved as well. And all sorts of somewhat frightening things, but also with some solutions in it to help to mitigate the problems that might occur from this. And some insights into what might be going on in the background when we hear the news break on this. Now, if you've been following this channel, you'll also know that I've recently predicted and far back predicted the Iranian revolution, which is beginning to happen at the moment. Also, what would happen in Venezuela. Have a look at my 2026 predictions for that, and you'll see it's all unfolding as I said. So this is quite an important time for me personally for my prophecies, because this is when they are beginning to sort of unfold. Anyway, I want to share with you today some quite important stuff. So do please pay attention to the end if you would. Okay, so welcome to Coffee with Craig. Well, thanks for joining me again on the show. And if you're here for the first time, do please follow the show and click that little bell so that you get some updates every time I go live and give some new predictions, and you'll be able to follow these in sequence then, hopefully. And if you hear many times, as usual, please guys, do give us a thumbs up. It's really important to help the channel. It helps us to get past that dreaded algorithm. Right, that's all that out of the way, and the long title. And I need to spend a bit of time with you today explaining things quite a lot for this video, because there's quite some important things that, as I said on the start of the program, that were prophesized in my book, Messages from the Universe, that I wrote some years ago, and was particularly the part that I was writing in 2015. Now then, those that have followed the show will know that I'm very involved with and interested in what's called the Naadi oracles in India. And these have been revealing some fascinating things. And together with my own personal clairvoyance, I've been able to put together some quite accurate prophecies of what happens in the future. Part of it comes through my clairvoyance, and also I've drawn on some of these ancient Indian teachings sometimes. And we get a view of what's going to happen. So I need to briefly explain to those that have joined the channel for the first time what the Naadi is. Sorry for those that I already know about this, but I need to reference them in this. So let me just explain. Some years ago, 2015, I wrote the book. I think it was before that. It was just around 2008, I think it must have been, that I consulted my first Naadi in India. Now, these are ancient leaves that they call them leaves, but they're written on little slats that like rulers that they write the prophecies on. And these were prophecies that were written thousands of years ago. They say they go back 10,000 years. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. But we know the leaves, or the slates that they're written on, are at least around about 300 to 500 years old each. And they're rewritten and rewritten and rewritten. Part of the training of becoming a Naadi reader is to rewrite the leaves so that they can be passed on for generations to come. And in the leaves, in this ancient oracle library, there are said to be, everybody that will ever consult it, their leaf is there, or most people that will consult it. Some were destroyed by the British Raj. But we can find our personal leaf to give a personal prophecy about our life. Right. Now, when I first encountered this, nobody had ever heard of this in the West. There was only a couple of books out there. There was one by Kim Sol from Denmark, who written a book about it, and there were 2 others that I'd found. Couldn't find any information about it, but they tell you your future with absolute accuracy. The remarkable thing about them is with only you answering yes or no, and I'd covered my name. They didn't know who the hell I was. There was no way they could have known who I was because I covered up the email addresses and Zooms, and others that have approached it will know this as well. We've often gone with complete proxy readers and everything, so we can trick them into knowing that there's no way they can cheat on this. But that's for more detail. You can look it up in the book. But so basically, they couldn't know who I was, and yet they can tell you your first name, your surname, your mother's name, my mother's pet name or name she preferred to call herself, details about my wife's name, my ex-wife's name, what I did for a living, what the exact time of my birth was, my planetary positions correctly of where I was. Everything in it was impossible for somebody to know, and it wasn't being done by clairvoyance. All they do is read the leaf. These guys don't claim to have any special powers. They just read what's on the leaf from these ancient rishis from years ago. So we can gain information about how to clear the karma in our life because of this. This is why we do this, so we can clear our way and find our path forward. Sometimes, though, the leaves also reveal stuff in individuals' leaves about the future of the world. And it's said that I would be making these prophecies about the future of the world, which is what I've been doing. And at the time, I didn't expect to be doing that. I was a medium, not really a seer. Anyway, this all started to come about, and those that follow this channel know that that's what I've been doing. But other people's leaves also reveal stuff. And there are other leaves out there that you can ask questions to, and they can also tell you about the future, not just of the individual, but of the world in general. And some of the stuff has been revealed. And the Naadis are kind of very mysterious because they're saying they'll only reveal it at a certain time. And I was not told the full revelation of this at the time. Now, in order to hammer this home about what is fascinating predictions that are in this, there were some that talked about a massive gas cloud that would affect a whole country. And there's also talk in there about future wars. So bear with me on this, because I do want to sort of tell you some of the things that are being revealed in this and what I wrote about in my book, Messages from the Universe. Now, I'll just pop that up so you can see it. I'll probably put an image up there or something, but that's my book. That's the new cover. Some of you might have also had it in the old cover like that, right? Now, they're both they haven't changed the number of pages or anything. So if you have a look on page 73, if you want to go and check this out later, that's where the bulk of it is. But I want to read you some of the things that the Naadi's oracles told me that I needed to announce to the world at a certain time. And here we are making the announcements now, years later. Remarkable. It gives me the shudders, actually, when I think about it. Now, some of the things it said. Now, it talked about this giant gas cloud. And just on page 3, I briefly mention, it tells me how these messages will help guide people both now and in the far future. The oracle predicts toxic gas clouds and tidal surges that will cause panic in the world, but that we can, through spiritual practice, predict and negate some of the worst effect. So this book is the first insight from the leaves. As I gain access to the rest of the oracle, I'm sure even more will be revealed. Well, there we go in my book, and more is being revealed now. Now I'm just going to jump ahead in the book because I'm reading from my copy on the screen. So it tells me that I would do these prophecies and I would speak to thousands of people, and which at the time seemed unusual. Here I am with nearly 250,000 followers now on the channel. So many hundreds, thousands if you listen to this sometimes. And so it got all that right, which puzzled me at the time. And I was talking here in this chapter about what a tall order this is, how I don't expect it. How can I possibly be giving messages to thousands of people around the world, you know? And then I go on, and I'm going to read a bit of it to you now. So it gave all these confirmations about what I was going to be doing. And then it says, as well as confirmations, there are many new things in the prophecy that seem puzzling today when I'm writing in 2015. That's when I wrote this particular chapter, but which could be portents for the future of the world. One that I will reveal now is that a whole country will be threatened by a toxic cloud blowing in from the northeast. Coming in from the northeast of this country, right? I'd forgotten all this, that I'd written all this. The oracle did not say which country, but it said that my own seership would reveal the answer closer to the time, and I would be able to warn people of its direction, as well as do pujas, which are sort of like fire ceremonies and things like that, to help mitigate the problems. Okay, the oracle hints that this will occur when I reach the age of 71. So it should happen in 2025, I'm saying here. Now we're now in 2026, but I'm still actually the age of 71 as we speak, because not 72. I know I look like I'm 36 or 30 or 25, some if you say, of course, but we're still in 20. Sorry, I'm going off. We're in 2026, but I'm still 71 in terms of Western calendar. Sometimes they say 71 running and things like this, but I'm 71. So this, I reckoned it was 2025, but actually we're still 71. So we're still in the timing of this prophecy. And it said, during this time, there will be many other natural calamities. This may be expected given what we know about the consequences of global warming, because I'm talking about that there as well. But it's not necessarily that, is it? But is it extraordinary to think that the Naadi leaf saw this thousands of years ago and can give us warnings and remedies to help us avert disasters? And there's more in the chapter about that. I don't think there's anything I can particularly pull out right now without sort of making it a little bit difficult to do this on screen. But go and have a look at, those of you that have got my book, go and have a look at that page 73 and around that area. And also you'll find some more at the very end in the appendix as well, where I actually print out the exact reading of the Naadi. Now, this came in the first one I'd ever done, and it blew my mind away at the time. But the interesting thing about it is that now we're starting to get other Naadis, not the ones that I've consulted, that other people have consulted and have come to me and said, Craig, what's said in your book is being now said in other Naadis. And this Naadi and that Naadi is saying that this gas cloud is going to appear. Now, so right back then, in 2015, I was saying this, and now it's saying, it said you would know when it's going to happen. Well, we do know when it's going to happen, because not only does this new Naadi tell us when it's going to happen, but it also gives us some, it seems to give us some dates based around astrological positions of the planet, so we can sort of work out quite a lot about if and where this will happen. So we're talking now not about Western astrology, we're talking about Indian astrology here. And I'm not strictly a great astrologer. I know enough, but I'm not trained like some of them are out there. But basically what it's saying now, this information is coming. This new information is coming from my friend Vinita, who you've seen on this channel, Vinita Pande. And I'll put a link in the description so you can find her channel again. And she's coming up with more interesting stuff all the time. And she wants to get the message out there, and I want to get the message out there, because that's told me before in my book. You can see how important it has been, because I puzzled over this for a long, long time. Now, the thing, so she's consulted 5 more Naadis, and they're given the same sort of information back to us here with different Naadi readers. And we can ask 5 questions, right? So when you ask 5 questions, she's been asking questions about the world. I'm going to do some of my sources to get some more confirmation as we move forward with this. And one of the first things it said, well, one of the important things, that after March the 15th of 2026, we're going to have to be facing some very, very serious problems in the world, where there would be political actions that could be a precursor for war. So, and it's, like I say, it's not Western astrology, but when it says that the sun enters Pisces, the Meena Rashi, where Saturn is, at the 15th of March, there could be conflicts in the world. And it said the ruler the Naadi said, a ruler from a big empire will threaten and imprison smaller countries or leaders, right? So it's or imprison or kill, or even kill other leaders, it said in there. So we've had the leader of Venezuela being imprisoned, and it said could even kill a leader. Could that be the leaders of Iran? Could it be that what we see coming ahead in 2026 will be a strike directly upon the leaders of Iran? I predict that's going to happen. I predict that Trump is going to strike the parliament buildings. It was going to strike the leaders directly of Iran. Not a full military invasion by America or boots on the ground, a very precision strike, an assassination. If you can kidnap a leader, like happened in Venezuela, why can't you shoot a leader or kill a leader or blast them out? And also, the kidnap, I mean, have a look at my 2026 video. The things that are happening in Iran and the things that are happening in Venezuela are coming out word for word for what I was saying about some while ago. Anyway, stop blowing my own trumpet. And but it is fascinating what's beginning to sort of unfold here. Even I find this a bit strange, really, when you start seeing it all happening. I say when I watch the news with Jane, I say, oh my God, that's what I said, you know. So this is on the 25th of March. It was a very important date when Saturn and the Sun are conjunct, and this is where that will happen. So it's saying that that's a very important time. Trigger point on the 15th of March, and in particular, the 25th of March, when these things could happen. So we could see some further problems around that time. That seems to be a time when there seems to be more war happening. Now I'm going to get to the volcanic stuff a bit in a moment too, because I've spoken about that before. So it's said, but with all that, just keeping to that war theme a little bit there, I've got my notes in front of me here. It said that there will be repercussions. So, you know, if Trump has sort of done these things and does these things, it said there would be repercussions from this. And it said when the sun is exalted in Aries, dilapidated in Libra, that's between April the 15th and November the 15th, this will be a dangerous time for natural calamities. Now, in particular, it said in there that there would be a gas cloud of some sort. Now, I've spoken about this, as you see in my book, about this dangerous gas cloud. It also said that this is coming at a time when there's growing tensions in the world with warfare. So perhaps this is also a symbol as well. The Earth spewing out this huge gas cloud, as it said in my book, and it's said in the Naadis before, is confirming that. But also there's war at that same time brewing on the horizon. And it tells us it's between Russia, China, and America. And so the USA is obviously loggerheads with China, and it would also loggerheads with Russia, but do the two combine? Now, if you look back at some of my earlier predictions, again, around that period of 2015, when I was putting stuff out on the web, on the YouTube here, I speak about China and Russia getting together a military alliance against America. It's all kind of happening now. And this is in the time before we had people like Trump rattling the saber about China. I said that this would all happen. So it would happen and also they're talking about a very important trigger point on this also is the 12th of August, 2026, which is a new moon night when the Jupiter, the sun and moon are all together in the sign of Cancer. So this is why we found that date. Now, Vinita has done the hard work on this. She's done the astrology. I'm kind of putting it very badly here with the astrology. But the important point is we get in these dates in or around the 12th of August. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen exactly on that date, but that says that's the kind of the light they put out there, the trigger point, the point we got to watch, the point we got to be careful with. Now, it talks about this volcanic type eruption. I've been talking about an undersea volcanic eruption, and we didn't know where it was, because in my book, you remember when I read it there, I didn't know where the country was, but it would be revealed to me later. The Naadi has actually given us the name. And the name, strangely, is Yama, Y-M, Yama, right? Okay, that means nothing to us. There's no country called that. But the ancient name of Japan, the ancient name of Japan was Yamato, Yamato. So that was one of the ancient names of Japan. Now, these were being written centuries ago, before the name Japan was there, before there was the name of the USA and so forth. So it gave the name that it could understand. So that was Yamato. So that means that the volcanic eruption is to be by Japan. And this, of course, could affect, couldn't it? I'm just getting the notes around here, but this could also affect Russia as well, from the position of it suggested in my earlier one in the messages from the universe. But it suggests also in these Nadis, and I've spoken about it with Vinita, who's looked at this in great detail with the astrological things as well. But this war between China, Russia, and America, this is something that I spoke about before. Now, it talked about this, but it said that something would be done it would be an indirect war. Now, an indirect war is things like cyber attacks, for example. That's an indirect war. But it also said, it seemed to hint in there that there would be a natural disaster, such as like this gas cloud, that would be seen as a gas cloud, but it would be part of this indirect war. So could it be that one of the causes of this gas cloud is a natural event, but it is then enhanced by some method? Could we use something to make it worse, to stick a bomb in it or something, to set it off further, and then make it look like it's not a war, but it really is a war? And could this also be somehow tied up in all what's going on with the conflict between America and China, which ultimately will be over Taiwan, but could start because I said that this year would be the start of it, not the actual Taiwanese American conflict, but would actually be the beginnings of it. And could the beginnings of it be done with some way where we're trying to make it look like it's a natural disaster, but in actual effect, it's a man-made event? And could it be that China perhaps does not like Japan militarizing, which it will have to do with what's going on in the region? And as I've said before, I feel Japan will get nuclear weapons and nuclear defenses, and will China be trying to stop that? So there's a lot happening there, which is worrying for people, of course, when I say things like this. And also it spoke about that in this year, in 2026, also much later, around October and November sort of time, there would be a massive tsunami in the south of India. Now, that's the bad news. But the good news is that these messages are coming directly from Shiva, it says. This is Shiva speaking to the people here through the leaves. And it's hard to know who Shiva is. Was Shiva somebody from outer space or something? I don't know. Because Shiva says not to worry, that these things may happen and they may worry you, but they will not cause massive deaths and as much as it sounds like here, that they're being looked after. He says not to worry. These calamities will not destroy the world. That will not be the end of things. It will be very frightening for the world, but not to worry, because we're there looking after things. It says that there's a higher spiritual power that looks after the world over and above the leaders of the world and the calamities of the world. There is a higher spiritual power looking after us. Makes me wonder whether that could mean that there's some connection with UFOs or something, because there has been hints of that in the Nadis recently too. So who knows? It also warned in there, and this is another one that VINITAS talked about here, and said that it said India must not change its name to Bharat. Bharat, I always pronounce it wrong, which is something I predicted. I remember saying back that India would change its name to Bharat, and then soon after, Modi said he was planning to do that and wanted to put that idea forward. Hasn't done it yet, but it said do not do that, because it gives the name, it's reminiscent too much of the Mahabharat, the great war in India, and that one should not do that. And so we have free will. And the Nadis also talk about the importance of doing spiritual pujas, of what we can do to change things in our own ways, in our own religions. I'm not saying everybody has to become a Hindu or something like that. It's saying it said, your prayers for a safer world will be answered. So whatever religion a person may be, or whatever religion a person may not be, even if you just don't have any beliefs in this sort of thing, your positive thoughts, your connection with the divine, your attempt to sort of send healing thoughts to the world will work at this time. It says these are very powerful things. And really, I think what the Naadi is trying to do is bring the people of the world together much more with more spiritual thinking. I mean, there's 250,000 people nearly following this lesson now, but following this channel now. That's an awful lot of people who could send a spiritual thought out to the world, and other channels, because we're all reaching out through different channels. I'm going to be speaking to a Japanese channel soon about these things as well. If we can send our thoughts out in a positive way and see the world as a better place, thoughts are things. They help to create a better world around us. And so too also the pujas and the things like this. We're going to try to organize some of these as well on the site here, so that we can all connect and send our thoughts and connect together, looking for the safety of the whole world, and see ourselves not as all these different divisions in the world, but as one humanity. We're one people, we're one spirit. We're all spirits in different bodies, in different places of the world, in different cultures, but ultimately we're all beings of light, aren't we? We're all spiritual, we're all spirit at heart. And I think that's what these things are there to help us to do, to realize that the spirit, the human spirit, the energy of the spirit, the fact that we are light beings, we are angels in human form, all of us, we're spirit, that is stronger. And that power that we have in our spiritual divine nature has the ability to change the very events around us. In our personal lives, we attract good things or we attract bad things, depending on where we are centered in our spirit. And similarly, the same sort of thing can happen in the world at large. And that's why I think what's behind this is not a message of despair, but a message of hope, that we can avert the problems of the world. We can, even with natural disasters, reduce the negative effects of it. In our personal lives, we can reduce the negative effects of our negative karma. We can reduce all that by positive thoughts, positive actions, charitable acts to others, by turning work into worship, by making our less connected and to our material side, and try to become spiritual beings. So Shiva is talking to us there to say there is hope, and we can negate these things. And the very fact that you're hearing this, I think, is important, because it's triggering in your thoughts, in your minds, better pictures for the world ahead. Let's keep our eye on the camera blipped. Let's keep our eye on the goal of what we're trying to do here. You know, we're trying to see a happy world, a world of great spiritual awakening. And it's hinted also there. Remember, if you read the rest of my book, Messages from the Universe and things, and the other prophecies, that behind it all, there is the great awakening happening. There will be the great awakening in the world. And when we awaken, it's not just us becoming more awake, it's us having the power to change the world around us. We have the power to manifest goodness in the world. So those are my thoughts, and do keep following the channel. And I hope you've enjoyed this today and find this interesting. And we definitely will revisit much more of this, particularly some of the prophecies that are coming out and still coming out. And many, many thanks also to Vinita for coming up with and telling me these things and helping me to place these things that I wrote about all that time ago. Okay, thanks for joining me. See you again soon. Bye for now. So if you'd like to go deeper into my work, you might enjoy my books. These are real books, not written by AI. They're written by me, published by top publishers such as Penguin and Barnes and Noble and so forth. And they're now all available on Amazon. You can explore my prophecies. We can look at the Naadi oracles in India. You can dive deep into the questions of life after death and what happens after we die. We look into spiritualism in my books. And also I've got books out there about how to develop your own psychic and mediumistic gifts. Now, I also in the books share my personal stories about my life as a medium. I talk about our psychic family, how I met Jane and my work in spiritualism, and also my journeys to remote parts of India in search of ancient wisdom and the Naadi oracles and so forth. So if you like dream interpretation, I had a number of best-selling books on this, and they're now in one complete compendium volume, so you can understand your dreams, interpret them, and get a deeper spiritual insight into yourself through your dreams. So if you'd like inspiration, you'd like knowledge, and you'd like a good read and a bit of humor sometimes and some silly stories as well, have a look at the links below.